I will forget all the Pompeii stories you know in a moment, because today I will tell you not just about a natural disaster, but about history's greatest wrong decision. Why did they stay when everyone had a chance to escape? What was it that actually killed them before the lava did? And even more terrifying, who was looking for what under those ashes when the city was buried in deathly silence? Soon you will see how luxury, lust, and greed for money turned into a torment of the grave for thousands of people. Watch until the end, because what you will hear is far more chilling than those petrified bodies. Please take a good look at this table now. The fruits on the table look fresh, as if they were just picked. Only half of the wine jug has been drunk. You think the host will return in a moment, raise his glass, and say something like, "Come, let's drink to the sacred gods," right? But you are wrong. That table was set on that famous October morning in 79 AD. It was set, sure, but it was abandoned right in the middle of that most enjoyable lunch conversation. Or perhaps they could never even return to the table. When we say Pompeii, those petrified bodies, that frozen mat and pale expression of fear on their faces always come to mind, right? But no one tells us the living side of this story. What were those people talking about just a few hours before they died? Maybe they were laughing at a bad joke made by one of them. Or perhaps they were gossiping about their neighbors in the villa next door, dreaming dreams. And most importantly, why didn't they flee, even though they heard the footsteps of the disaster? Of course, these are questions that science cannot fully answer either. But starting from existing findings, we will now go into a little more detail and approach the truth. Leave those boring history lessons you know aside today. We will enter Pompeii's flashy villas, bedrooms, and even the mysterious safes they didn't want anyone to know about with you. We will talk about how a city dizzy with pleasure and wealth died in that golden cage it created itself. Welcome. Now imagine this. Pompeii was the Las Vegas of the ancient world. Maybe it's Miami. The empire's most elite and wealthy people would flock here to get away from Rome's suffocating politics and enjoy life uncensored. Because here, taking pleasure was not a shame, but life itself. The things you see while walking on the city's stone-paved streets might surprise you today. Phallic figures carved into the cobblestones were a road sign leading to the brothel of the period, and exaggerated statues at the entrances of doors were a very ordinary sign of prestige for the Pompeii of the period. If we look today, we might say, what perversion is this? But for the people of that period, the situation was not like that at all. For them, these figures were just like our evil eye beads. They were embroidered everywhere to bring good luck and protect from evil. They were people at peace with their bodies and desires. In the heart of the city, there was a building they called the Wolf's Den. That is, the city's brothel. On the illustrated menus still standing on its walls, there were not meals, but depictions of real-life brothel scenes. They were all for sailors who came from all over the world and didn't speak the language, so they could point with their fingers and choose what they wanted. The universal language used at that time was again bodies full of money and lust, just as it is today. Archaeologists found hundreds of perfume bottles inside. Imagine, the inside smelled of heavy rose oil and human sweat. Everyone was saying carpe diem, meaning seize the moment. They were living as if tomorrow would never come. But there was a bitter truth they forgot. Tomorrow really wouldn't come. Of course, this pleasure and delight was not free. The thing that excited the people of Pompeii most after their bedrooms was their safes full of money. There is a banker named Jucundus, for example. Keep this name in mind. When his house was excavated, hundreds of promissory notes emerged from his burnt chest. The man was sitting calculating interest, chasing his receivables even while the city was shaking, while the ground was moving. But after the disaster, he mixed into the darkness of the ashes, without even having the opportunity to realize that maybe those yellow metals were not that valuable. Here that big question comes to our minds. Why didn't they run? Vesuvius actually screamed, "I am coming," for days. The ground shook, wells dried up. The smell of burnt volcanic ash was inhaled by people in the air for a long time. But none of those rich people moved from their places. Do you know why? In psychology, this is called the sunk cost fallacy. They had such luxurious villas, such heavy furniture, and so much gold hidden inside the walls that leaving and going seemed harder to them than dying. They probably thought, "Oh dear, it's just..."
You're getting old now, Jack. You're tired. If you'll allow me, I can continue from a different perspective. Just a tremor. It will pass. If I go now, looters will rob my house and lock their doors tight. Yet nature didn't care about title deeds or bank accounts. Those walls they thought were security were about to become their biggest tombs. When it became afternoon, Vesuvius showed its seriousness now. It wasn't joking. A toxic gas cloud at 300 degrees Celsius descended on the city at hundreds of kilometers per hour. There was no scene of running away from lava like in those movies. Everything ended in seconds. Their breath was cut off. They collapsed where they were and sort of petrified. Archaeologists found a petrified female corpse on the beach. They called her the ring lady. Emeralds, rubies worth a fortune on every finger. Heavy gold necklaces around her neck. The thing she took with her while running for her life was not water, not bread. It was that jewelry box she adored. Maybe she thought she would build a new life in another city with those jewels. But the weight of that gold only slowed her down. Her wealth not only didn't save her, but also made her escape impossible. And do you know what the saddest part is? What do you think happened right after the city disappeared in ashes? The city was invaded again. But this time the one coming was not an enemy army. It was thieves. While the smoke was still rising, looters coming from surrounding towns dug tunnels and entered those houses. They stole the gold on the dead. Pompeii continued to be a victim of human greed even after its owners died. When you walk on those stone streets today, what you feel is not fear, but a deep sadness. Because those petrified bodies were not aliens, nor were they a sinful tribe. They were just like us. Ordinary people who loved a nice table, planned the future, thought about their debts, fell in love. When Vesuvius erupted, nature reminded them of the only thing money can't buy: time. Maybe this is the lesson Pompeii whispers to us from 2,000 years away. Your most valuable treasure is not in your bank account or the ring on your finger. It is in the breath you take right now. So let's be honest. If you were the person sitting at that table in Pompeii that day, what would be the first thing you took with you when the drums started beating? Your gold under the pillow, or just your loved ones? I'm waiting for your answer in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for real human stories from the dusty pages of history. Until the next video, goodbye.